Warning: the following video may or may not contain strong language. Depending on the subject at hand, the topic may range from PG-13 to rated R. So proceed with caution if you want to continue with the video. Viewer discretion is advised. Also, thank you for watching the video. Have a good day. Yosh, and welcome to Azure Sgood, as in, you sure it's good?
Wait.
Or, animes watch when they're seen. Yes.
Hey, you sound different.
Thank you for that glorious
Hello.
statement.
Hello.
Guy, you.
Can you hear me?
Now, the purpose of this series is basically me watching anime and seeing
Sound
if,
different.
if they're
Also,
good.
put some pants on.
Today's topic is going to
ridiculous.
be about ReZero Season 2, Episode 1.
Oh,
So me and my friend are going to
That's
sit
actually
back
me.
and going to talk
Never
about what we
mind.
just watched. We already watched the
Well,
episode,
he
and now
can't
we're going
hear
to
me,
talk
so
about
it's
our
fine.
opinions and what I thought about it.
alright.
So take it away, past me. Oh, right. Future me. Wait. If past is there and future is over there, what am I?
Oh, you're just insignificant.
Insignificant? What? Okay, carry 2. Gotta just subtract the latter. Remember how this is done?
What?
Okay,
Wait, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm trying to call my friend here.
Seriously, confusing me.
You're confusing me. Where's your pants?
Look, don't change the subject now. I'm talking about your voice. You sound different.
Oh, new mic?
No, that's the same mic you have for the past 5 years. Are you gonna tell me your conversation with your friend is gonna sound just like this?
No, actually.
No. Well, then why?
Forgot to change the system.
You're an idiot.
Look, there's the last one. All right. All right. Come on. Hurry up, pick it up. This is so awkward.
Hey, where's my Zoids DVDs?
Oh no, you noticed?
Welcome.
Alright, so you've watched episode 2 of season... Actually, you started watching season 2 already.
Yeah, I watched season 1, episode 1, yesterday, or the day before, and then, I watched I watched it over the weekend, and then I watched episode 2 today when it came out. They revealed Echidna really early.
But question though, before, we'll talk about that in a bit, about her, but what's your take on episode 1 of season 2?
I had to Google afterward just to make sure because I'm thinking, Rem, why? It's like, that sucks. But then I had to Google it, and the response that I got back from the internet is, we don't know yet. But so far, she's still stuck in a coma, and no one remembers her.
Well, I know.
Well, the last comment I saw online was that we're already in Arc 6, and we still don't know if she's going to wake up or not. But it says it might be possible, though. But she's still asleep in Arc 6 right now.
Do you regret reading that person's opinion, which may or may not be true?
I don't regret it, because all I know is they just say that this particular arc is going to, the whole overlapping, we're in arc 4, I believe, right now, but like the person who was commenting on it said that the whole REM arc lasts 2 or 3 arcs, and it's still ongoing right now.
I mean, I know when she's gonna wake up. Do you want me to tell you?
No.
Or do you want me to tell you what I...
No, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. I'd rather not spoil, because if they're still technically asleep in arc 5 or 6, I don't need to know. And if she's going to wake up by then, I don't know whether she's going to remain that way and die or what, so just don't say anything, because I'd rather know that
I know,
part better.
yeah. Okay, that's fine. My take on this episode was this was the original epilogue of season 1 in terms of the novels, because when I finished the novels, I remember I told you this immediately because the story was so well done that I had to look up like, okay, I want to know what happened. What happened?
Yes, because I watched the director's cut of season 1, and the original epilogue was basically Emilia saying, "Who's Rem?"
No, that's not the epilogue.
the carriage.
The epilogue was Rem's final fight.
Okay.
No,
Well,
that was the original epilogue. Cause that's that whole well arc. It ends with Cornelius and Peyton Kaitos pairing and fighting with Rem, and then when Rem not knowing, it seems like when Ren lost, that's how that arc ended. That was the original epilogue.
Yeah, that's the original epilogue. They just moved the epilogue to episode 1, season 1, I believe.
Well, in my opinion,
season 2.
Yeah, because
season 2.
Yep.
Because the director's cut, added this scene at the end of post credits,
Oh yeah, but I think in my opinion, when the original season 1 appeared, they wanted to give like a little light ending, happy ending. Debatable, but at least a little bit a light ending considering what Subaru had to go through. So that's what they did. That's what they didn't add.
They cut it off. They cut it off.
Yeah, intentionally, because I think that they felt like they wanted to save all that stuff for the second season because that ending for that arc was really really sad.
Yeah, and also they weren't sure if they were going to get a second season or not.
Oh yeah, because they had 4 years,
Yeah, and so they cut it off there, and then...
Yep.
So, I mean, there's a couple... Speaking of going back to director's cut, there's a numerous of things that... And I heard Arc 5 get pretty brutal, but I don't think we're going to get it to Arc 5 in Season 2. We might. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Going back to the Season 1 director's cut, it was okay, though there's a couple moments where I feel like some of the impact was taken away by how they... Because you know how they doubled up episode lengths in the director's cut, but certain cut-off moments for certain scenes, it just felt odd not having like the ending theme, the first ending theme at some of these moments, because it's just it's that intense moment, because they cut it out to like to either be silence, and then I think in later episodes they used, because apparently Style Helix, the singer who originally did the original first ending, they broke up their band, so they ended up using a cover piece from a different artist later on too, which was okay.
They couldn't use the rights to their song even though they're broken up?
Well, no, because they were doing re-editing though for it. That's the thing.
Okay, that's fine, but couldn't it just end the episode with an ending? I haven't watched the director's cut.
You haven't watched the director's cut?
I mean, I don't need to. Same story, just different alternate, not scenes, alternate cameras.
Oh well, there's alternate cameras and there's dialogue change too.
I'm okay, but in the end of the day, the story is still the same. Point A and point B is still the same.
Well, yes, but they change a couple lines where they add a little bit more info in there, like. Like I believe in the whole thing where Subaru's having his cringy moments. There's a couple. I can't remember. Was it they dropped a few explanations with actual names floating around that they didn't do in the original TV cut? Though Goldfried's name still didn't get dropped in season 1, which it should have. But
there were a lot of things that were cut off from season 1 from the novels, which I can explain from my limited knowledge when we get to episode 2. But that's besides the point. But okay, you watched the director's cut, but I did not.
Yeah.
But do you know why they did the director's cut?
They did the director's... Well, the director's cut was basically a mixture of Blu-ray and then a few tweaks of the lines, because they took the Blu-rays and they just did a director's cut of it, and then they tweaked the lines and stuff to prep for the ending, because they added on a new scene at the very end of season 1. It was all to set up things properly for season 2 that would immediately follow after.
Yes, because it was originally going to end in April, and then season 2 was originally going to start a week after the director's cut, which I think was April 1st, the original release date. I'm not sure if it's April 1st, but I know it was in April. I know this because they was going to release season 2 on Subaru's birthday, which was a big middle finger to him, because that's when all the sadness begins.
Yeah.
But then something else happened.
It was brilliant, but unfortunately COVID happened.
Yeah, it is what it is. Instead of we just have to wait longer now, in both parts, part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
Sucks, but I guess it is what it is. 4 years, but at least we're not waiting an extra years. But anyway, so you watched the director's cut. I did not. The only thing of the director's cut I watched was the extra and the bonus ending, which was the beginning of the first scene of season 2, episode 1.
Oh, Yeah. By the way, also too, when Emilia. By the way, the last episode too, which is something I noticed too, is when Emilia runs after Subaru after he throws the bag full of like explosion stones or whatever it is, fire stones.
Yes.
Yeah.
The grenades.
And then they sit and he sort of confesses. They changed the whole dialogue into that. By the way.
Oh, okay.
Because she's more calmer, and she's more calmer, and she asks him the questions, about like, why you do stuff for me. Because I remember in the original TV cut, she was a bit more frantic, just sort of asking why, and then he confesses, and they changed some stuff. I know for a fact that conversation when they're sitting in these, I think on her doing a lap pillow or whatever it is, I can't remember, but yeah, that conversation played out differently too.
Oh, okay. Nice to know. I'll try to see if I can look up difference between the director's cut and the original series later on.
I mean, if I'm wrong, then it was maybe all in my head, but I feel like it was different though.
Well, you haven't watched the original series in so long. You only watched the director's cut recently, so you probably don't remember the original as much.
What it could be though, they could have just delivered the lines differently though. That's the thing. They could have been the same lines, or with just a few minor tweaks, and also the change of the tone of voice. Like in the TV cut, it could have been more like sort of like crying, frantic, and then in the director's cut, they said, what, let's give it a more calm mode this time around.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, tone of voice can really change how lines feel as well. But anyways, now I guess we should talk about season 2 then?
Yes. Episode 1 of season 2. When you watched it, what do you thought? What do you thought about it?
It was good. I was surprised. The one thing I was surprised about was this is a thing they didn't explain, which I thought is because Crush got her arm cut off.
Yeah, she did. I've been holding that information inside for years.
And then when they were in the mansion talking to each other, her arm is magically back.
I wasn't really looking at it, but I should probably go back to the episode and see it. But does she have both her arms back, or is it just like they only show one hand?
No,
they show both hands?
She has both hands. And I thought in this universe that they don't have limb regeneration magic. I thought that does not exist.
Well, her limbs is not really disintegrated. Her limbs is just cut off. Can it?
No, I know, but I thought that they don't have, healing magic like that, though.
Maybe that's why she was saying fearless when she got her arm cut off. Maybe she had the power?
I know. I'm saying that could be happen, though. I just thought that, that as long as the cut wasn't, if they weren't completely dismembered, that they could heal it. But if it was, they had dismemberment, they could not heal it. That was my impression, because from some of the dialogue that happened, that was going on.
That I cannot. Not sure, but I'll tell you my take on it after yours. So your Crush, you got the Crush thing.
Yeah,
so what else?
The Crush, her getting their arm cut, that was a shock. I was like, and also, well, that wasn't just, that was a little small shock, but was a bigger shock was the fact is that, she lost her memory of herself. And it makes me think, I wonder what's going to happen to all the other rivals and how the author's going to play this out, because now I think Crush was, the biggest contender for the throne.
I can see that.
Yeah, and the author throws this memory thing in to sort of eliminate her for the running, because, she was a little bit more humble now and a little bit more girly. She still has her strong will in her eyes and her tone of voice, but she's just not as commanding dictatorship. But she still has the charisma. Maybe she'll regain it later, but I feel like maybe this is a way for them to, eliminate contestants for the throne. So.
Okay, that's interesting. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
Well, there wasn't much else because there was a lot of dialogue going on.
Exposition, yeah. I mean, this literally was the original ending for season 1, so.
Yeah, there was a lot of exposition going on.
So what you thought about what's his name, Cornelius and Baton Latos? Baton Kaitos. I'm sorry. Basically gluttony and greed.
Yes. I actually didn't know their names. I only knew them as greed and gluttony. So.
I'm familiar with Baton Kaitos. I think that's his name. The name comes from another property. I think it's from the RPG. I could be wrong, but I think that's the only other place where I've heard that name. I don't know the origin of that name, but I'm familiar with Baton Kaitos, and I will leave it at that because I don't want to say anything more.
This is my first time hearing the name, so
I don't want to say anything else.
Yeah.
About why I'm familiar with that name within this series.
But the tall guy, he seems stupid OP.
Well, so was Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
Not beating Kaidos. I take that back. It's
Cornelius. You know, I know. You're talking about
Yeah, the
Cornelius.
tall guy. Yeah,
I
the
know
guy
I'm
who
saying his
just
name wrong. I know.
Yeah, the guy who can stare at you and then your limbs just go flying off.
Well, that's kind of similar to Beetlejuice.
Yeah, and I can understand gluttony because, you know, they're beating Kaidos because they like to eat memories and existence. But when he said he was known as the sin of greed for Cornelius, I'm like, I don't see it, though.
I mean, whether this is a spoiler or not, all I can say is I have no knowledge of the dude.
Yeah, and now we know that there's, from episode 2 as well, that there's multiple witches. I thought that when they introduced these apostles or the bishop sins, these two new ones, I thought they were the ones that were followers of Setela, the witch of envy. But maybe that's not necessarily true.
From what I've gathered, this is my own opinion. I think there's a archbishop for each sin. I think there's a witch. I think there's also a witch for each sin. I could be wrong. That's just my guess because we already seen Mr.
Sloth, but remember, Sloth was a follower of Setela, and she's envy.
Doesn't necessarily you have to have the sin follow their witch sin. Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, greed could follow the witch Sloth's witch. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how this works.
I'm also confused. I'm skipping ahead to episode 2, but we now know that there's multiple witches. But when I remember from the the fairy tale from season 1.
Okay, go ahead.
Where it talked about Setela and how they got sort of sealed her away. Apparently, before they sealed away, that Setela had basically killed all the previous witches, and she was the only witch left. So I'm wondering on how how the other witches are. Like, for instance, Ekina, why is he still around? Because I thought that she had become her Setela's limbs or something or whatever. I can't remember the story, but all I remember is that Setela was the most powerful witch, and she basically killed all the other witches. Or consumed them or something.
I think that sounds familiar as well.
Yeah, from the fairy tale.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the anime fairy tales. Like, oh, okay, well, you're bringing this here. But, okay, but I got you. You're talking about the Resealers lore.
To the fairy tale, if you paid attention to the story of the Witch of Envy, Setela, the most fearsome witch out of all of them. And apparently, she overpowered all the witches and consumed them or consumed their power or something or other. And, the other witches ceased to exist. So when they introduced Ekina, I'm like, okay. So they introduced that person, which I'm assuming they did so because White Fox effed up really bad in revealing her in the credits. So I'm like, oh, we might as well, reveal her really early.
Wait, White Fox did season 1?
No, White Fox. Yeah, White Fox did season 1 and they're doing season 1 and season 2.
Okay.
And in the preview for season 2, they f***ed up by mentioning
what
Ekina in the preview. So I'm assuming that's why they.
No. Okay. No. I won't say anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fine.
So that's why they introduced her in episode 2 really quickly.
I gotcha.
Like the actual face-to-face, context is that we up. We revealed the actual face-to-face meeting between Subaru and Akina. We're like, oh, we better just introduce her early.
Okay. So, alright, so back to episode 1. Then you find out about Rem.
Yeah, then we find out about Rem.
What's your take on that?
Bummer.
I mean, did you knew? Even with all the memes been happening for years, did you knew? Be honest.
No, I actually didn't know.
I'm glad that you forgot that I told you this many years ago. Because when I was starting reading, because I mentioned this to you years ago, because I like the anime so much that I want to find out what was happening. So I was reading the.
You didn't tell me that. I cut you off. Remember?
No. I asked you, do you want to know? And he said, yeah, sure, go ahead, tell me. Because at the time there wasn't. It didn't look like there was going to be a season 2. Okay. So I told you, Rem still is a sleepy princess for even the current arc, and he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I totally forgot about it. So
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did.
So I was thinking, like, wait, the whale's dead, because I was thinking the same thing Subaru was thinking, and like, oh, she got her memory stolen. And then I had to do some research because I'm thinking, oh, she better not be dead. And then people says, no, she's just in a coma. And I was wondering, well, does that mean she's dead and killed off? So all I got was confirmation of like, oh, we don't know yet.
Okay.
She's just asleep from how far we've read into, or at least from what's so far been released in the light novel. Because, you know, web novel and light novel are different, and I believe that they're just beginning arc 6 in the light novel.
Yeah.
I think. So, because, you know, the web novel and the light novel, things are going to change. And you read the web novel, so...
Yeah, I know, but they take inspiration from the web novel, so...
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna go differently.
Touched up and added from what I've heard, and you know, things are.
I mean, it's understandable if they're gonna add little things here and there to make it different, but the core, the main point will still be the same. I mean, the light novel is the director's cut of the web novel, but the web novel is basically the main source. So, I mean, unless they really want to change it. Oh, by the way, Subaru, yeah, he happens to be the son of Emilia and Satella. Actually, no, the son of Satella. Okay, that's probably very different from what the original web novel intended. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I'm just making stuff as I go. But I think I'm assuming.
What I did hear is that was it in the? I can't remember if they were talking about it in because people were reading the Japan novel and they said, was it in arc 5 in the web novel or the light novel? But apparently it was so brutal that because ReZero was selling like crazy, and then I think arc 5 came around, and then people like sales dropped because apparently it was even too much for the readers. I think.
I know a little bit more about this than you, but I'll say that later.
But yeah, because the sales dropped because apparently it was too much even for the readers. So I wonder how the manga and the anime are going to do an adaptation if they ever get to arc 5. Because, you know, I heard there was some issues because it got a little bit too much.
Well, yep. Well, okay. I guess that was the main point of episode 1.
Is Rem, just basically introducing Rem's situation and...
Yeah, I mean, I also noticed they didn't put in the opening, which is like, yeah, okay, it's fine, that makes sense. Because with the opening, it's gonna have spoilers about the season, which makes sense. Which I will get, I'll get into my take on that in episode 2 portion. But I was kind of not let down, but more like, that it was just a half episode length as opposed to the 1 hour, 40-minute plus length that the season 1 had. Do you remember?
Oh, you were disappointed that it was a half an hour?
Yeah, as opposed to the 40-minute length that season 1 first 2 episodes were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, but and it is what it is. You know, it's just a nitpick. It's not a necessity. It's just like, I'm hoping they would do that. And I was also hoping.
But there's also COVID too. So.
Well, they made this like last year, so.
Budgets all around are strained.
I mean, they made this last year, so COVID wasn't a thing. I mean, it wasn't that much of a issue as it is now. Yeah. So because remember, it takes a year plus to animate. I'm assuming. Of course, it takes more than a year as well to get all the storyboards ready. So I'm assuming because I have no knowledge of this.
Yeah.
But what was it? Oh yeah, and I was kind of like not let down, but I'm like, really? When they didn't add filler into the episode, which I guess I was hoping for the 1 hour episode so they can add filler, because I was kind of vague when we last talked about ReZero 2, the trailer about Rem. I was like, I really hope they give us the best Rem fight the series will ever give us. I said that because I know what was going to happen to her, because that would basically be the last fight we got to see of Rem for a while. And by a while, I mean like for the last 6-8 years.
Yeah.
I'm including the light novel and web novel into this, because I don't know how long it's been since Arc 3's original release until now.
It's been a while.
It's been longer than season 1 anime's intermission.
Well, Arc 6 has been in Japan. I think at least web novel has been out for a while.
It's been out for like a long time. I don't know how long, but a long while.
Yeah.
But
the Japanese, I believe, light novel, I think, just got to Arc 6 last year, I think.
Shit, my.
Last year or the year before. But it was really recent. And then I think we're just getting it in the U.S.
I might venture into the light novels of ReZero. I mean, I think I will eventually, but not at the moment. Because I want to bask in season 2 for now.
That's what I usually do, is like I usually bask in the anime and then I head to the novels afterwards.
Well, I'm already doing this, but I'm going to buy the light novels. I'm already going to do that. Just like when I'm already going to get season 2 when it comes out, because I really like the series a lot. But here comes episode 2.
Yeah. Oh, before I let you go, before we go to episode 2,
Yes.
I have a feeling that we'll probably get a season 3 because, oh my God, when episode 1 of season 2 came out, it broke Crunchyroll's site.
Oh, I waited days later.
Yeah, but from what I heard, that like it was so popular that people had a hard time accessing the site.
I bet.
In general.
I bet.
Like the whole webpage in general, that was how much traffic it was on. I was just cramming all at once. It literally broke the whole website.
I mean, it wasn't just for show, Amara, right? That I chose Re:Zero as one of my top contenders of best isekai in my opinion, because in terms of story, out of all the isekais, Re:Zero had like the most compelling story. What is the
most relatable characters that doesn't feel OP. Everybody hates Subaru, or at least they hated him for like the majority of season 1, but that's because he hits too close to home.
I mean, yeah, I guess I can relate to him. People did hate him in our first year. Yeah, you're right.
Well, yeah, like
you agree?
Ray tells me that he doesn't want to watch it because he hates it. But I found this out like a little bit later. Like the reason why somebody said that the reason why people hate Subaru so much is because he's very flawed. And he's very relatable and shows about the type of character that people don't want to look at themselves about. And so it relates very hard to home, and that's why they hate him so much, because they don't want to admit, because the viewers don't want to admit, oh yeah, I was like that too.
I mean, them not wanting to watch a series, it's already an active omission.
Yeah, and like I admit that like not every aspect of Subaru is in everybody, but there are a lot of traits that everybody holds at least somewhat of what Subaru has, and so yeah. Yeah, it's a really good isekai, and I want to recommend. We're going to go off topic really quick. Is A Sentence of a Bookworm? I think this is the next best contender for isekai so far.
I'll give it a few years before I give it a watch. I heard season 3 is going to come out, or at least was announced. I don't know. I don't know what's happening with that anime.
Yeah, it was said to be continued, so we might get a season 3, maybe.
So the one that finished just now is season 2?
For A Sentence of a Bookworm, yeah, season 2 just ended.
Okay. And that'll be it for this episode. This was cut in half because we both talked about episode 1 and 2. So I want to leave part 2 for another episode, for another time.
Even though I'm the one who's doing the editing.
And I appreciate you for doing so. Thanks.
Yeah.
Anyway, please tell me in the comments down below, was it a good episode? Was it not? Informative? Was it not informative? You know, I'm curious to hear what you thought, because in the end, this episode had my opinions. What were yours? So with all that said, later, Yosh. It turned out pretty good. Alright. Yeah?
Do I get a line in this episode? Huh? Do I? Yeah, tell me, you son of a...
Hey, this is why Superman works alone, Batman and Robin film. That's another way of ending this episode weirdly.